The final Giants Live of the year is done and dusted, so we thought we'd take a look back at the whole of 2024 and bring you some awesome facts and stats about Giants Live. So this past weekend we had the final Giants Live of the year, the World Tour Finals, and we had Mitch Hooper taking another win. Trey Mitchell continuing his great form from the USA show. He was in second place, and then Luke Richardson taking another podium back-to-back. That's two podiums for Luke. Great to see him in great form. He finished in third. It's been a super busy year. We're going to take a look at the 6 major competitions that Giants Live run through the year. Do you want to name those for us quickly?
They're on the spot. Okay, so we've got Britain's Strongest Man, Europe's Strongest Man, the Strongman Classic in London, then we had the World Open in Birmingham, then we had the USA Strongman Championships in Vegas, and finally in Glasgow this weekend we had the World Tour Finals.
I'm very impressed. You did that very well on the spot.
Very relieved.
So Auntie Liz, what stats and facts do you have about this year's Giants Live Tour?
Okay, the first one is a nice simple one, looking at the number of athletes across these competitions. So in total, in those 6 comps, we had 40 different athletes. Nice round number.
Yeah, 40 athletes, great to see. Obviously, Giants Live is the official qualifying tour for World's Strongest Man. So if these athletes get to Giants Live shows, they get top 3, they get an automatic place to World's Strongest Man, and normally, if you place well at a Giants Live, there's a good chance you're going. Obviously, we have repeat podium finishers, so they start looking down the list, and it is the place to be noticed if you want to get to World's Strongest Man.
So like we said then, there were 6 shows. The men who did the most Giants Live competitions this year, all of them did 4, is Mitchell Hooper, Gav Bilton, Alexei Novikov and Luke Stoltman. No one did more than 4.
Okay.
Which is probably right, to be honest, So across those 6 shows, we actually only had 3 winners. So the first one, Britain's Strongest Man this year, was won by Tom Stoltman. Europe's Strongest Man was won by his big brother, Luke Stoltman. And then the final 4, the 4 sort of true internationals in terms of anyone from any part of the world could compete in, they were all won by Mitchell Hooper. So not much variety at the top this year.
No, it was either a Stoltman or a Hooper that was on top of the podium. It shows how dominant Mitch's season's been. Great to see the Stoltmans have such a great start to the year. There's a little bit in the middle where they kind of backed off, but Luke Stoltman particularly has had a strong finish to the year. So we need to see some challenges for Mitch Hooper in 2025. Obviously, he has absolutely dominated Giants Live this year, but there's some great athletes out there that will be sitting motivated to want to come to next year's show and challenge the Moose.
And kick his ass.
We all want to kick his ass. It's a hard job to do. That's the thing. He is the man right now. However, there are great athletes out there. Athletes that have been injured this year that are coming back into form. Athletes that are starting to get that kind of push on the rise. You know, there's athletes that can always cause problems. And Giants Live, events change, you never know what's going to happen. But Mitch is keen to compete a lot next year, I know that. He's obviously going to be hard to beat.
So across those 6 different shows, there was the potential for 18 different podium finishers. But in total, we had 11 different men stand on Giants Live podiums this year. Obviously, you got your repeat offenders.
You do have your repeat offenders. However, a couple of people I want to pick out that really impressed me, certainly at certain shows. Eddie Williams getting on a podium this year. That was something I didn't see, and it was just a pleasant surprise to see Eddie looking so good. Also, towards the end of the year, Trey Mitchell. Now, it's not a surprise to have Trey Mitchell on a podium.
No,
he's one of
so
he's been a big name for a number of years now within the sport of strongman. However, it wasn't even a year since he tore his Achilles. To recover that quickly and then be second back-to-back at the last 2 shows, the last 2 Giants Live shows of the year, that's impressive. Just to get back to competing is impressive, but to get on the podium, which is exciting for next year. I think that's going to be giving Trey confidence that he's going to go into 2025 and feel like he can be a real contender.
I really hope Trey, from a personal level, as a fan of Trey, I really hope that he's invited to all of those majors again next year.
Have to wait and see what happens. But the one thing's for sure, he'll be invited back to Giants Live.
Yeah, definitely.
And he's already secured his spot for World's Strongest Man next year.
Yeah. So speaking of Trey, he is part of my next stat, and that is that 3 athletes made the podium on every single Giants Live that they competed in this year. So one of them, of course, Trey Mitchell, competed twice, 2 podiums. Also, Luke Richardson competed twice, 2 podiums. He did the World Tour Final and the World Open in Birmingham.
Indeed.
And then finally, of course, Mitchell Hooper. He did 4 shows and he won 4 shows.
It's quite interesting with those 3. Luke was twice third.
Yeah.
Trey was twice second, and Mitch 4 times first.
Yeah.
So they're pretty, all 3 of them, very consistent in terms of results.
Solid athletes. So out of the 40 athletes that competed at Giants Live this year, 12 of them were first timers. And I'm gonna go through the list to give them their moment. So first off, at Britain's Strongest Man this year, we had Sean Gillen and Paddy Haynes. At Europe's Strongest Man, we saw debut performances from Nick Camby and Frederick Johansson. Tristan Hof made his debut at the Strongman Classic, as did Andrew Flynn. Thomas Evans and Nathan Galtrey made their debut at the World Open in Birmingham. And then most recently this weekend, we had 4 first-timers in Wesley Dowinski, Roman Grekov, Chris Beetham and Jaco Schoonwinkel.
Great to see new faces at Giants Live. We want to see more and more every single year
100%.
get their opportunity. Obviously, mixed bag on how some of those did. There's a couple of guys injured. We wish them the absolute best.
And everyone has to start somewhere though. Like, we're real champions for feeding that system and bringing in as many new people as possible, because you can't get good if you don't get the opportunity to test yourself against these guys.
No, and it's something, you know, I say it week in, week out on these videos, how fast-paced the Giants Live shows are. And every time we speak to the new athletes, they're, my God, it's such fast pace, I can't keep up. Learning that is invaluable when you go forward with your career, and learning to kind of push yourself a bit harder in training, improve that conditioning aspect. It's something that the guys that are used to the Giants Live competitions understand, and when you're new to it, it's a shock to the system.
Even I was dehydrated in Glasgow. So we've talked a lot about the athletes. Now we're going to look at the events at Giants Live this year. So across the 6 shows, there were 21 different events.
Okay.
Did you think it would be as many as that?
I didn't. Sometimes it feels like things are repeated, but it's great to see when you kind of actually look at the facts that things are varying in each competition.
Yeah. So there were, of course, some repeats. The biggest offender, but is the Atlas Stones, or the Castle Stones, we should say, at Giants Live. That popped up in 5 of the 6 competitions. Axle deadlift for reps. Next was 3 times we saw that this year.
Less than probably people think.
Probably, yeah. We have had some more deadlift variations, and we'll go into that in a second. And then the car walk, sandbag toss and wrecking ball hold were all in 2 shows, but everything else was a unique event.
Cool. I think 2 shows is fine.
I think 2 is fine as well. And like for the Atlas Stones being in 5 of 6, I get that.
Yeah, it's the staple strongman finisher. Although I do love seeing the power stairs as a finisher at Giants Live shows.
It's the less messy finish, isn't it?
Much quicker for athletes getting out to the meet and greet.
Yes, less sticky. So we're talking about deadlift variations. There were 4 different types of deadlift at Giants Live this year. My favourite probably was actually at Britain's Strongest Man, the first show of the year, when they did a standard deadlift, but the athletes had the choice of 2 weights, 360 kilos or 400 kilos. And we saw such an epic showdown between Adam Bishop and Tom Stoltman.
Yeah, that was a great one. I quite like the idea of the Trump bar, where
it
athletes have that option to go for a lighter one if they don't feel they're quite at that level, to go for the super heavy one. But the 1 rep with the heavy bar will always beat however many with the lighter bar.
And we're seeing that sort of event more and more, I feel. I think it started probably with the Arnolds and the Austrian Oak, somewhere around there anyway.
Yes,
but we are seeing more of this. It's going to be at OSG this year in the deadlift.
It is indeed, and it makes it interesting. I mean, most athletes will always want to go for the heavier one, but sometimes you have a weakness and you've got to think smart and pick up points. But I think it is quite a cool one to watch.
Yeah. So as well as that, we also had the deadlift ladder at Europe's Strongest Man this year. We had the max deadlift, of course, at the USA Strongman Championships, and then the other 3 shows we had an axle deadlift for reps.
Absolutely, and I think it's great to have that variety in deadlifts. We've spoken ourselves about we'd like to see maybe an 18-inch deadlift,
a silver
deadlift,
dollar.
a silver dollar, a deadlift medley would be pretty cool with different objects. Love seeing a heavy deadlift, love seeing a deadlift for reps, but seeing those different types of deadlifts, maybe even a car deadlift.
I was going to say some sort of machine deadlift.
Yeah, well, what you do is you get different results sometimes, because different deadlifts suit different athletes. Someone like Alexei Novikov is superb when it comes to the lockout, not quite as strong in terms of that power off the floor. And you do see maybe a deadlift ladder where speed becomes an element. Will an athlete just decide to go just with pure grip rather than using straps? You start to see some different results, and it can make things interesting in terms of the end results of the competition. And if someone can prove that they can win every single type of deadlift throughout the year, there's no question when it comes down to it, that guy can go down as the best. But this is the fun thing with Strongman, and I think it's good to see Giants Life doing this, and we just like to see it continue and see more.
So this one was quite a pleasant surprise. Looking at overhead variations, and in the 6 different Giants Live shows this year, we had 6 different overheads, which I thought was
There
quite
we
nice.
go, and that's what we're kind of looking for.
Yeah, so we started the year at Britain's Strongest Man with an axle press for reps. Then at Europe's Strongest Man, we had the Viking press. After that, it was the max axle at the Royal Albert Hall. We saw a new world record there by Mitch Hooper. Then it was the max log in Birmingham, a new world record by Ian Bibby. Then in Vegas, we had the dumbbell for reps. That was won by Trey and Mitch with 7 reps, I believe. And then finally, we finished the year on the dumbbell ladder in Glasgow.
Yeah, so again, we talked about that variety. Giants Live giving us that variety.
I like that, yeah. More of that. That's how I do it. I mean, if money was no object and I could spend what I wanted on equipment, I'd be like, right, these are my categories of events, 6 there, 6 there, 6 there, 6 there, and then put together a competition so it's always something different. Yeah. I know that's easy for me to say, it's not my money. But
this is what you'd hypothetically do if you were in charge.
It's a hypothetical, yeah.
I think it's good. I think it's showing over the years Giants Live are thinking about variety in events, variety in athletes. They're continuing to try and get new athletes to competitions. Obviously, people that do well at OSG tend to be, you know, a direct correlation to then get invites to Giants Live. Even the guys that don't come top 3, they do get looked at, potentially get invites. Some of the guys here were just the top 10 at OSG and then got invited to events like Europe's Strongest Man and other shows. So it's a great opportunity for those guys that are, you know, on that. Yes. And when I say on the cusp, I'm talking, you're good enough already. You've just got to go and prove it.
Yeah.
I believe OSG is one of the hardest comps out there because I think you're already, if you can come top 10 at OSG, you're already world class.
Yeah.
You're good enough for major shows, and then it's experience in those type of shows. But we're seeing more athletes get there. We're seeing more variety in events. We want to see that trend continue, and Giants Live shows continue to get bigger and better. I'd like to see the live stream improved. I think that can be better still for fans watching. I think the in-person experience at Giants Live show is the best you will get as a fan.
Yeah,
in terms of
agree.
a show.
Yeah.
Like coming to a show that's fast-paced, that's exciting. You're not having to stay around all day long. It's they do a great job, from the entrances to Neil Pickup's kind of booming voice,
Absolutely
bringing the people in.
ridiculous intros.
He's the best in the business, I think, when
like
it comes to
Neil,
that.
yeah.
I think Giants Live are doing a great job in terms of professionalism. Athletes are being looked after. Although we did have one nasty injury, it's the only injury I can think of this year.
The only major one like that. Yeah, definitely.
And they've got doctors backstage, they've got paramedics, they've got kind of physios, they've got chiropractors. There's a whole team to look after all the athletes. So they're doing a great job. We always want things to get bigger and better. That's what we want from the sport. We want the fans to enjoy it. But I think it's been an exciting year in the Giants Live.
That's all very nice, Lars, but I'm not actually finished.
Okay.
Sorry, there was just
I
one
apologise.
It's okay. There's one more thing I wanted to look at, and that is because Mitch, at the beginning of this year, he only had 1 win at Giants Live. If anything, he was his least successful at Giants Live before 2024. But if you look at this data now, so this shows you the most wins at Giants Live. Some of them are national titles, I should point out, so like Britain's Strongest Man, rather than an international that anyone could compete in. So Hathor is top of the list with 9. Then we've got Zydrunas with 6. And Mitch is now tied with Evan Singleton for 5 internationals.
Yes, I mean, Hathor showing how impressive he was. Wouldn't it be good to get Hathor back at the Giants Live? You never know. We live in hope. I like to see Mitch and Hathor battle it out in 2025.
Optimists.
Zydrunas Savickas, as you said, and one of the greats. But, you know, you've got so many good names on that. Tom Stoltman, Derek Poundstone, Luke Stoltman, Mateusz Kiniszkowski.
You're on there.
Even Uncle Loz is on there.
Even Uncle Loz.
So,
how did that happen?
You know, it's Giants like Brian Shaw has competed in one Giants Live shows. Yes, I am there in number 6 position. Very proud of that.
How nice.
So we'll take that. Mitch has overtaken me, but he seems to be doing that with everyone right now.
Yeah.
Who knows how many titles he'll have at the end of 2025.
There you go then, that's a wrap on Giants Live this year.
Giants Live done for this year. The next Giants Live show will be the first weekend in February. We're back for Britain's Strongest Man. I hope you guys have enjoyed the Giants Live shows this year. As always, leave your comments down below. We know the Giants Live team look at the comments. They appreciate feedback. They're always trying to make things better. So be pleasant with it. Always looking to improve the sport. We want you guys to help improve it. We want the promoters to help improve it as well. But Giants Live have done an amazing job this year. They actually upped the prize money.
They did, yes, they did up the prize money. We haven't talked about that.
We should point out, over the whole year, it probably won't quite be over $500,000 because no one got the deadlift world record.
That,
but they give almost $500,000 away in prize money, which is more than any other show.
Yeah, over a 12-month period.
$40,000 for every single winner. So Mitch and the Stoltmans taking all of that this year. Yeah. But great to see that progress, and it's continuing to improve every year. I think last year it was just the Giants Live World Tour Finals that paid 40.
Yeah,
this year it was every 35. Giants Live. So it's going up each year. Fans coming to watch, the sport getting bigger, it's all going to help increase that.